Some seems to be me, Tom Sawyering, whatever.
Yeah, they're like.
I would win it. I think I'm the one who would.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing.
Known microproject.
But it's so loud.
Yeah.
I think they're just, yeah, no, it's really good. You don't necessarily need a bicycle. You'll take the bars. I think, well, I know that there's like a I'm not sure what the public but there's get around. Not the very like icons of bars. Yeah, like it will help get to from the bar station. Oh, that's so nice. Just a ripple. Yeah, there's a lot of places for that too. Like especially not well, they have legal on excuses. I think then 222. It's like a coffee shop.
I'm returning your property. I did. Almost as if I had previously.
Yep. We forgot to do that at lunch. Yeah.
I don't know what they do. I'm gonna be oh, that's yeah. You're right. Oh, nice. Yeah, and then it will upload it in real You want to make the background? So it's a little easier. Yeah. You have to get this study, but not. Yeah. Well, it's
This one I want to like create.
I've come to see it more.
Yeah.
And also. Did I pull over a chair? Is there one of those? Which there are. I think it's being currently used.
Oh, yeah.
Can I be a special credit? Just remember our social friendly journal case guys. Yeah. After that,
like it's not for it's not we're going to use it like a bad
all we need is
yeah.
people's come.
Are you sure? Yeah, no, I don't see that, but keep you up. It's more like on the pages than the actual platform. Whereas it's just like it kind of goes here.
So I would put in also.
Unless we went out, unless we went out there, like,
And it's
Yes, I know, you're pointing out, but you're pointing out. You said that you might have another possible venue.
So overflow is like you have to so you put like the map site is cover map site that you want to see and overflow is small.
I like that. I have one for. I had a computer with
Well, it's the
few years, and I definitely used it for basically scrolling. That's about all.
Thing is, so I
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So I bought this.
Okay, I get that. You ready? Yeah, I have to figure out what my next laptop should be. This is my first use. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
And then once you get if you have a zero, okay, so this is the list. How is this?
Something that
That, the map is like, and then this one but is it? Where it has, like I meant.
So all you have to do, I can do short URL. So.
Let's go to chat.
I'm not straight.
Ask Jack.
Oh, yeah, overflow.
Yes. Once I have it. The idea is, if anybody talks about where you just want to be doing a job. Now, maybe your ears are, because I need my phone. 2 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also put the solid red. I would put that.
Right there, exactly right. Well, I've already did what I accomplished today most of the time.
I have something to write on my. Hopefully,
All right, it's 4:08 p.m. You all have had 8 more minutes to hack on your hack projects. But we are going to do one more group photo. So please follow Aaron's art direction. If you were here yesterday, you know exactly where to go. If you're a tall person, sit behind the white tall chairs. Stand behind the white tall chairs.
So everybody, let's come and take a photo on these nice couches.
This is how we get you away from your keyboards temporarily, including those of you wearing headphones.
If you're on the couch, that is totally okay. You are in the right spot. Actually, we might need to move that couch in a little bit. You just pull it in a little bit. Perfect, yeah. Beautiful. And I think everything got spread out a little bit. Can you turn that couch like so that it goes closer in that way? You're just a little bit out of the frame there. Yeah.
Is that for all of us? I guess what?
And then in a little bit. Gotta go in that way. Okay. All right. Looking good. There's a spot on the couch. And you need to come in. So you're on the edge. You're fine. Nobody can be past you there. And Tontek, you need to get in closer somewhere. That'll work. Beautiful, and you're fine. That's great. I can't really see back there. You need to, yeah, go right in there. Flocky, that's you. Go right in front of Micah. I'll see if I can count you in the picture. And I'm going to go behind Jonathan. I'm going to go behind you, so we're fine. And I can see everybody's faces. I still can't see Flocky. Perfect. Yeah.
There's a whole collection of backpacks here.
Are we pulling up on
Oh, I guess I'm sitting there now. That just happened? Okay.
Should we gather up all of Mozilla shit? Aren't all of Mozilla apples here already? No.
Okay, I think we'll talk about Mozilla. Forget it. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's gonna blink faster as it gets closer. All right. 1, 2, 3. Indie.
Are we doing a shape one?
Yeah. Can we double check that works? Can we do a GIF one too? Gregor.
I refuse to acknowledge that.
Is it not the picture? There is linking.
Hey, the creator of the format said it's pronounced Jim. I hope that whole thing was a good one. Let's all just do that and enjoy it.
Drinks. Oh, that is done. Done.
That hurt my brain. We are going to, yes.
Well, Russian food. What are their shops?
Everybody take your seats for demos.
I actually did that.
So tired. All right.
Oh, my sister's here.
And what are they nice?
I promise it won't be without you.
I know. I just put it down.
Hey, my name is on my blog now.
Can we switch over to?
What the heck happened? Oh my god. I have no
No, I'm
idea
not
what
gonna be
happened.
available yet. I already found the. That's not right.
I wish you could go back to the previous.
That's the word, yeah, the world of law enforcement.
You guys still need help. I accept what.
I know, where you want me to go?
Still inside of the
In the
line.
lab, or what?
Wait, you need to get back.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
It's not gonna.
For editing with
all of a sudden have my stuff back there.
Well, the.
No. Yeah, I did. Oh, I don't know.
These cases.
It's not gonna show you.
Or CMS.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, so what is
That's not even. Yeah, that's not, yeah. How do we get that coverage?
Right, it means that it's like.
It's here. How come it's not published? It's not, you just saw it.
That's our keys too, because my site's backend.
that just really?
It doesn't accept the hour, minute, without seconds 4 times.
Look at this.
So we're going to try something for demos, which we haven't done before, which is that if your demo does not require your own computer, you're going to go first, and you're going to get to use my computer. And that will reduce the number of times we're unplugging things.
Just URL. Just it looks kind of difficult. I mean, you were.
Okay.
Otherwise, we switch.
Thank you. I don't know, it's some kind of healing power. Okay.
We don't know. Could be. Don't
Untitled web service. Thanks. Oh, I got it. Text me. I got it. If there's time, that's the default. I mean, I'll go up there. I mean, like, sure. Yeah. And then, do you know what your short size? Or like there's some other error. Like one error, right? And you can manually.
It's a variable.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's some stuff. Weird time zones. Yeah.
All right, everybody, we are going to start demos. Everybody ready? I see a few frantically typing fingers still, but I think we're going to roll with that anyway. Hands off the keyboard. So if you think you don't have something to demo, you probably do anyway. And the thing to demo is to just talk about what you did do or what you were trying to do and ran into some sort of stumbling block with. So don't feel like you can't demo just because you didn't finish your project.
I know, I can start.
So yeah, we're going to start with people who do not need to use their own laptops. If you're
Or a laptop at all.
or a laptop at all. And if you can demo on a shared computer, please do. And let's go. We're going to keep these to, we're not going to do like the strict timer like we did in the intros, but still keep it around that length. So like around 2 minutes for a demo. But we're, there is, type in a URL up here and let's go. Don't forget to introduce yourself when you start.
That's right. Hi, I'm Cheryl Crow, and my domain is travelswithcosmo.com. As soon as I type it in. So this is just one iteration of Travels with Cosmo. Yesterday we started with GNOME. Today we kicked GNOME out to the curb, and it started with WordPress, so I could actually get somewhere. So, and I had lots of problems all the way up to just a second ago, and was trying to customize certain things, like I wanted to get that picture and with the text over it for the header, and that's a thing. But thanks for, I had 3, 4, 5 experts help me. So, and I actually threw on a blog or 2 blog posts, so you can see some pretty cookies. See the cookies my friend made me? And my husband didn't want to bring them here to share, so you can blame him for not having those today. And then at my second blog post, which I just made, is I did it. I'm like fearless girl. I made a blog in one day.
I am going to look up there. Hey, Jackie. My URL is jackie.wtf. One thing that's kind of difficult for me is definitely writing things. And I decided to take some time today to write a bit of like a colophon / whoa. What is the domain for this site?
Calm down, Chrome.
Nah, the Chrome's right. I spelled it wrong. That's my fault. Oh, I put the letter down. The idea is that I'm going to publish something adjacent to my site that explains how I do things on my site. Am I not pressing enter?
Usually you
don't have a serve event.
Oh, and I just rolled it.
Oh, it might not see the cert yet.
I'm going to come back and confirm things.
Advanced. Go to advanced.
Just go to advanced.
Oh, no, that might not go to the site. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I use HSTS. Sorry, y'all. But I'm going to come back.
Do it in Firefox.
No, Firefox is going to do it. Yeah.
Yes, Chrome will not let you bypass security.
this is like a present. Oh, it's a present. Oh, is that okay? Should I?
Firefox is an application downloaded from the internet. Are you sure you want to open it?
Oh no. Ooh, fire. Okay. I think it's a thing or my. See, I can't remember if it's that or my.
Advanced.
So
digital.
I'm sure. Yeah, exactly. That's personally
They
my.
have the risk
No,
to
but
you.
it's not the right site.
Oh.
Edit the host file.
Yeah, see, that's the wrong site. That's the wrong site. That's my all right, I'm gonna come back.
Right. Let's see if it works for me.
The man, the legend, poop emoji shirt.
That's right. The tessellated poop emoji shirt for the win today. Okay. So I did the thing I said I was going to do, which never happens. It's like a personal accomplishment here. So this is my site. So if you, first thing I did was, if you go to the subscribe page, I have cleaned it up a little bit and it's a little bit nicer. And you can see if you want to subscribe to everything, I have a microformats feed, a JSON feed, an RSS feed, featured content, or a curated microblog. Don't ask me why there's only JSON feed there. We don't have time. Then what I did was I added the ability to see what I subscribe to in my social reader. So you go to my following page. When you view my following page, hopefully Chrome supports the same CSS that Safari does, and it mostly does. This is calling out to my microsub server of choice, which is Aperture. And Aaron added some features for me. Notably, all of these are actually the channels that I am subscribed to in my reader right now. And all of the feeds are the actual feeds that I am subscribed to right now. So if I go into my reader and I add a subscription, it would show up on this page automatically. And if I remove one, it would be removed. And so there you go. It's a real-time view. Now, the really cool thing about this is if you go to parse the page, cleverdevil.io/following, what you end up with is an H feed, and the children are H entries, which are follow of the URL of the feed that I am following. And soonish, hopefully, we will also have a date and time at which I created that subscription. So it's like having a feed that shows whenever I subscribe to all the things I subscribe to. So that's what I did.
All right, I'm Tom Brown. Here's Tom with theweather.com. Weather not guaranteed. That's right. Today I added my blog. Here's Tom with theweather.com. So if my hosting provider, which is Netlify, if it happens to go down, somebody with a Beaker browser can still access the site because there's a DNS text record that points to the DAT URI, and it'll still be available. That's all I got.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Does it work now?
It does, because I gave it 4 more domain names and made 4 different certs. So how do I go? Yo, what does it say on the screen?
Oh no.
Is it a lot?
It's something else. This is an
Oh.
URL.
No, I remember the original one though. It's okay. This is the one I was trying to remember. Cool. Yo, what the fonts? There's better fonts. But yeah, so this site is meant to kind of mirror my active site. Like as I add things like, how do I microformats and how things will look over the site, I'm going to have it demonstrated here. And the idea is to link out to the wiki for particular things. Like if you want to work in your H card, go here. If you understand like how I do web mentions, very small text, you can use these apps, but this is how I do it. Such that if you're like, why are your likes so this way? I'm like, this is how I did it, and this is where you can go. Purely also for me to document how my site works, because documentation is very hard, like I was mentioning in my other part. So yeah.
So good.
Yeah. This bit is something I wanted to get working. Like you could like the page.
Why are my legs so blank?
Why there's some collapse? Yeah, I don't know. Like anything
I'm
there.
just wondering what, it's like sort of the Mad Libs type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what word to fill in there.
That was the part that was supposed to come after this. I did want to have like a little bit so you can like this in real time. It was showing the page to show how I wanted to like represent those things, but it was too much work. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
why are my legs so lame?
Hey everybody, I'm Jared, jaredwhite.com. And I support web mentions at last. Woo! And this is a Jekyll site too. So this is actually all happening through client-side JavaScript. So let me pull up a link here. Oh, look at that, 3 web mentions. This awesome button here is actually a totally different thing that's kind of like the medium claps. And so that's its own thing. Maybe I'll merge those concepts at some point. But all right, I clicked on the 3 web mentions, and there they are. And these are all coming from Twitter, so I actually look to see if it's a Twitter URL in there, and I show view tweet. So if you click on like this reply here, it should go to the Twitter reply. And that's what I did. Thanks.
Hey everybody, I am Gregor and my website is gregorlove.com.
And I'm Malcolm. We work together.
I was going to get to that.
Yeah.
And I typed the wrong URL.
You got it? I knew this would happen.
Not plural.
Can you tell us about what you're doing?
So, Malcolm and I worked on AutoAuth, which is geek speak for basically, I have some private posts and I want to let you subscribe to them. So the first step that we needed was a private post, and I actually had some from several years ago. We tried out private web mentions. So this is just an example of what my private post looks like if you don't have access. And Malcolm will do the next part.
All right. I need another tab. And more handcrafted URLs. Suspense. Fetch. I'm not doing the whole thing in one go, otherwise it's all over too quick. Post.php. All right, if I just load this, cool, that's a good thing. So curl will happily fetch empty URL and call it malform. So that's a good error. Now what I want to do is fetch Gregor's private post with, this is my the script I wrote today, which looks for fetches private posts. So it's well named. Okay. So I'll grab this one here. What is it, Command C?
Yeah.
All right. So this will attempt to fetch Gregor's post and display like the unauthenticated version of that post. But in the background, Gregor didn't mention, but his post here, it's when you fetch it, it'll also give you a token endpoint in your headers. So my fetch script will, in the background, go and fetch the post, check the headers, look for a token endpoint, and use that to do the auto-auth dance, which talks to my authorization endpoint on unicyclic.com. And then Gregor has a callback. And so they talk to each other, and I save that token that he sends me. So by the time, and the callback is back to this script, by the way. So by the next time I load this page, this is where the drum roll is important. It really should get the authenticated version of this post. So let's just hope that it works. Yay, that's it. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
That's way cooler than what I'm going to show off. I really mostly made Aaron Parecki do 90% of the work. I project managed. And so I'm Lily and my domain is anomaly.net, but this is actually anomaly.world. So this was originally set up to get all of my posts from Instagram via Own Your Gram and Own Your Swarm from my check-ins for a trip. But that trip was over 2 years ago, and I continue to post all of my check-ins and Instagram to the site. So the thing that mostly Aaron did was that now the data points are clustered. So, oh God, I'm sorry. Did not fix how slow it loads from my server, but this is speeding it up slightly. Okay, so now using this library, instead of every single data point from every check-in, which obviously I have a lot, they actually cluster in these groups and will show you how many there are. So
Did you change your map too?
and I changed my base map to be this pretty watercolor map. Like, you know, important priorities, right? So here's a great example. This is what this looks like with all of the check-ins. So any one of these is a check-in to the ice skating rink, and then you get to see the preview of the picture that I took from this check-in, and then down here is a different base map right there. So that's pretty much it. It gets kind of cool when you look at it. So if you blow it out, the loading is a situation, but we've solved a little bit of that. Which I mean Aaron solved it. So what's cool is if you go out, you can actually see the clusters like by country and then zoom in on the base map. So it looks pretty cool, I think. I'm pretty happy with this.
Could you write a blog post about how you got Aaron to do all these things?
I am the master of Tom Sawyering at IndieWeb Summit, and I.
So you write the post, and every time you don't know how it was done, you just ask Aaron, he tells you, and then you write it in the post.
Yes, possibly. Or the technical post is offer Aaron margaritas, then problem solved. Okay, that's it.
My name is Tomas. My main URL is tomasquinones.com. But for the sake of this weekend, I decided to get inspired by Lillian's anomaly.world and did adventuring. Oops. .world is
Not adventing. That's a
adventing. I'm venting.
It's a different kind of adventuring.
This keyboard is weird to type on. Okay. So this was started from complete scratch this morning. I just registered the domain during breakfast. Grabbed a base map. I figured out how to get data from a Google spreadsheet thanks to Darius's help. Still have a lot of work to do. What I want to do is like be able to click on one flag show up or like zoom in to where that location was and get the location clusters, much like Lillian was doing. But I learned a ton. I was really happy with how it's all going. Still have a lot of work that I want to do. I mean, like I said, I'm still learning. I just started doing this like a few weeks ago, really. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
How much does a .world cost?
It cost me $3 to register that.
Yeah, and then once you get stuck with it, you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy it as a joke domain for a trip, and then you continue to renew it. It's $30 a year.
So much too bad.
It's I've made worse domain decisions.
Right, I'm David, and my goal for the day was to try and reconcile a vanilla version of WordPress hosted on DreamHost with as much IndieWeb as I could heap on top of it and get to work. And so this is the result of that activity. So as part of today, we've got a theme working, thanks to David, using some of his work. So got the theme working, got it compatible. So this is actually his fork of the WordPress 2016 standard theme, unmodified by me. Enabled indie auth web mention and micro-publish endpoints by adding the right link elements to my homepage, which is not part of the WordPress site. So in my case, the WordPress blog piece is wrapped by a larger piece of website with static and other content on it. The homepage is therefore not the WordPress blog. So hacked a bunch of stuff together to get that to work.
and added the support to HT access to reconcile both www and not www references to my base URL, and HTTPS and not HTTPS to my base URL. So everything, no matter what, all redirects to the right place, and it's all HTTPS, and it's all where my content lives. Added Romy connections to get Flickr and Instagram wired into the blog. Having micropublishing working meant I could test Quill as a micropublishing client, so I used the web version of it in Firefox on Android to make a post. And then with Jack's help, we tested web mention support. So we pinged a bunch of web mentions back and forth. In the process, he discovered a bug in his custom setup, which he was able to fix. And then lastly, I added syndication link support and tested it by posting a review to TripAdvisor and then syndicated from my blog to that TripAdvisor post. So everything's all working pretty much as I wanted it to work. And I'm comfortable that I guess I can move forward with a blog based on stock WordPress and a stock theme and still happily enjoy IndieWeb. So that's it.
Anybody else have a demo that can use my laptop?
It's a demo of what's not working. All right, so I am working on my site, and I got a lot done. Well, not really, I'm lying. So I have been playing with a new CMS, as some people know, and I have been playing, and thank you to Jordan, with all of this. These cards are all the same size because I'm using CSS grid. So what you see right now is this really long title. It's the exact same size as that, and the spacing's there. It's a big mind trip that you don't think you're seeing it, but it really is working right now. So there's not even any, I don't even know where the colors are coming from right now. So I gave up. But so what's great is now I can go to my publishing UI that I was able to make, and I can then, I guess, sorry, I should have been logged. Oh yeah, it's on my computer, that's why I'm not logged in. Password is password 1234. No, it's not.
This is when you do it on someone else's computer, you don't have your password.
No, I literally typed in 1234 when I knew it wasn't the password. It was, don't try to tell jokes at the same time as you type, I guess. All right, so I can go down to my blog posts. And I'm going to make a new one real fast. Now this one is a really short one, but it's going to be the exact same length in your head as the other ones. And then I can then add in some info, add in my piece summary, hit save, and then, oops, I forgot to publish it. Oh, man, I'm just having a rough day. Blog. And then go to publish. Now when I go to now it's there on my site, and it's saved as a text file, which I really love. That's all the data is. And then there you will see it. It's right there, and it's the exact same length as the rest of them. No, I couldn't figure. I'm trying to use Subgrid. I didn't get to work. I don't know why. I'll keep playing. I don't even have those great colors. I don't even no idea where those are coming from right now. So I'm going to go back, sit down, and play. But I think it's important to see demos that didn't work. I tried really hard. I worked really hard, and I'm also trying. He's in Chrome. I'm not in Firefox Nightly. It only works in Firefox Nightly, not in Chrome. I'm not going to download Firefox Nightly for him. I should have used my own computer.
All right. Anybody else want to use my laptop, or are we going to switch to your own laptops now? One more? Two more.
Hey, everybody. I was able to actually get my own first personal website up and running today, so hopefully this will just work. Yep, there we go. It is simply mostly just meant to be a portfolio site. Oregonman.org. And hopefully I'll be able to get a lot more going with this. This is just mostly all of the filler HTML I wanted to start with. I definitely know I want to try and probably move away from jQuery, so that'll probably mean a high redesign of a lot of these things. But as it is, I think it is very satisfactory. You've been able to get a small text segment for the portfolios, but I've yet to get anything else more of that. And that is the new site. Thank you.
Hello. What? Oh, my name is Nagisa, and my site is nugget.new, and it used to look like this. It was really simple, but I got some help from Greg and some others. Thank you very much. And it now looks like this because I got it set up with Known, and it's hooked up to Instagram too. So yeah, that's about it.
Hello. Thank you, first of all, to everybody who helped me today. This morning I had nothing, had never used anything before, basically. And today I learned some HTML. So that was fun. It's still on Glitch. It hasn't actually gone anywhere. But got a little website. All the links, as far as I know, actually work, which is pretty fun. So little portfolio pieces that you can link to from there that are very large. And so far there's no real content, but it looks nice. So yeah.
As opposed to switching around, I'm not sure if that's faster.
What's that?
I'm not sure if that's faster. Okay. Who wants to start bringing up their laptops? I think it'll work okay. Let's start lining up with laptops over on the side here. All of the dongles are up here, so you should have plenty of options. USB-C, mini, HDMI, micro.
USB-C. So while I wait for the display to actually recognize, so what I've been doing today is working on an authentication library for Python that wraps other authentication mechanisms. Because, so Indie Login is great, but it only supports people who have their own website, and I wanted to make it so you could also log in by email or Twitter without having Realme auth. So first, here's a loopback thing that recognizes by that. That's not very impressive though. If I enter an email address, this is just mocked out email, but that works. And then if we do an actual, so here is my Indie Auth site that is being brokered through Indie Login. So yeah, so I've got a minimal Flask app working, and I'm going to next try integrating it into my CMS. So.
All right. So I came into today with a lot of ideas of things to work on and didn't end up doing any of them. I did something else instead. Oh no.
Marty, what is your name?
My name is Marty, and my website is Marty McGuire with a dot before the RE, or if you don't like typing, I don't, it's mmg.ru, that'll get you there. So what I ended up working on came out of a conversation with Tontek about how he would like to give more context for the things he replies to on his site, because currently he doesn't give any. And this turned into a discussion of why shouldn't, sorry? You show URL, yeah. But it became a discussion of why don't we have clients that show us things that we're about to put on our websites. Like Quill, if you've used it, will do this lovely feature where it will show you this is the post that you're replying to. It helps you make sure like you're replying to the thing you think you are. And you can say something like, looks good, party hard. But if I send this to my website with Quill, I'm going to get a post that has looks good, party hard, and a property called in reply to that just has a URL. But that's boring. So I've made a little fork of Quill. Let's see, Aaron, the Spoa Parecki. I've made all of these things editable. I like his short URL better, so we're gonna do aaronpk.com. This is URL, and I hate hashtags, so we're just gonna get this out of here. Sorry, I'm making a lie of your content. And when I post this, now instead of just sending a URL and expecting my website to do the business and look it up itself and create a reply context out of that, where I don't necessarily know what it's going to get because it's all automated, it's going to send something a little bit more involved. If you see on the left here, let's just close these. Can I make this bigger? No, I cannot. Great. Well, that looks terrible. You can see a bunch of rich data here. So instead of just a URL, we're getting a full-on object. It's a citation. It's got a URL. It's got content. And maybe my site's built by now. Yep, it did. I haven't finished display on my site. The first time I did this, it crashed my website because it doesn't expect to get anything useful other than a URL. But it kind of works. You can actually like edit the thing that you're going to show on your site. So even when you're replying to other people's content, you still have full control over the small representation of that you're going to put on your site. Yes, David.
Will this be a PR to Quill?
I think eventually, yeah. I would like to work on it a little more and talk with Aaron about whether or not it's a good feature in the long term. But it was a good experiment today, and it was kind of fun to be able to like tweak this thing that we think of as kind of like, it's the link preview, it's whatever. You know, Twitter doesn't really let you mess with it. So you just get what you get, but it's kind of fun to think about having more control over how the things that you refer to from your site, even when they belong to somebody else, you can be more in control of that. So that's it.
Amazing when it works. I'm Johannes. I blog at thepond2020.com, but today I'm talking about templates for common website configurations. We talked about a bunch of stuff, how to set up websites for ourselves. Some of them are relatively simple, such as I run WordPress or I run Known. Some of them are complicated. And so what I did today is I created a bunch of templates that are single command deployable for website setups. For example, here's some templates for a simple WordPress site. Or here are some templates for WordPress with all the IndieWeb site, or a simple Nextcloud site with a bunch of apps. Down as more complicated, such as I have a website that runs Known and Nextcloud with Let's Encrypt. And the way to set up is that this is intended to be used in this demo. You can also use it on one of the boxes that I have here, but it is intended to be used with EC2 here. I already ran a UBOS instance on EC2 over here, which was actually simply started by clicking through the wizard on the UBOS website here. I didn't do this. I don't do this in a demo because it takes a little while to spin up. You just go through that wizard. But then if, let's say, you would like to, say, run a Known site with Let's Encrypt, you basically do is you copy the URL for this particular template, is say use admin create site from template, paste in the URL. And then the font is a little difficult to read here. I don't know what happened to the colors. But basically you are entering, or I'm entering here just the information that's necessary, that's specific to my setup, such as, for example, a unique admin user password, and then it says deploying. And so it takes a little bit, so it will install databases and configure web servers and do whatever necessary. And here we are. So I take this particular URL here, go into my browser, and here's Mountain. Now, if I didn't want if I didn't want that, I decided, well, I really want something else. So I'm saying give us admin undeploy, get rid of this thing. Let's say I much rather run a site that is say WordPress with IndieWeb stuff and Nextcloud, because I like to do some file sharing and some collaboration. I use this particular template instead. Oops. Here we are. It also asked me the same question again. I need to enter an host name so that I can get the right Let's Encrypt certificate. Again, a unique password. Okay, and so just in case you wanted to know what's actually in those files while this is deploying, it's just basically a JSON file that describes the configuration of the site. Here you can see that we have two configurations, one of them for known and one of them is for Nextcloud. Here's a bunch of things, accessories, apps, whatever you call them, that are part of the configuration. Here's a little bit of a text that is provided as part of this little wizard. And it also says here, for example, if we want Let's Encrypt, there's a bunch of templates in here. Basically, whatever is not specified in the JSON file, you have to enter the command line, and then it will show up. It takes a little bit. I was being cheap and got the cheapest Amazon instance, which is why this takes a little bit to install. So in the meantime, if I do this, yeah, the cert has been undeployed. Well, I don't really want to wait here. Here we are. Okay, oops. Return, oops, nope. Oh yeah, this is the old URL from known here. That doesn't work. So here we are. Now we have two apps deployed here. If I click on the WordPress one, then I get the usual WordPress thing here. If I click on Nextcloud, I get Nextcloud with the admin credentials I just entered. And once I have Nextcloud running here, I can do the usual thing, which is basically everything that Dropbox does, including calendaring, picture sharing, talk, video conferencing, all built in on my personal website. I think it is pretty simple to set that up. That's what happened.
Alrighty. Where was that HDMI cable?
Oh, it's just dropped it. I think it hangs down.
Oh, this one? Yeah. Cool. All right, let's wait for that to recognize. I'm Micah, and let's see what we got here. I'll make things a little more reasonable. Cool. So what I set out to work on today was to learn about IndieAuth and to write an integration for use with Okta. And I have my mobile phone up here also, which will be relevant in just a minute. So on my website, my personal website, I added it in this link rel. This is now pointed at a Heroku app, which is this integration that I wrote. And it's a GitHub repo that anybody can go and check out. And I put in a whole bunch of instructions here on how to get yourself set up with Okta and set yourself up with a developer org and create an OIDC app and gather up the information that you need from that app. So all those instructions are there. Ultimately, you end up at a place where you get a client ID and a client secret. Now, the thing that this happens to be written in Spring Boot and Java, you don't have to care about any of that because Heroku makes it super easy to deploy this. And I put this friendly purple deploy button here. And when you click that deploy button, you get to a screen like this. And there's a few environment variables that you need to set up, like the me URI and a list of allowed redirect URIs, and then the information from that OAuth client that you created. Now, I did this already. I deployed it, so I now have this IndieAuth Okta a Fit Nerd Heroku app.com, which is what I referenced in my actual live site here. So I can now go to, I'll bring up an incognito window. So I can now go to Indie login. Let me just move this out of the way of my phone, and I can put in afitnerd.com. And now what it's going to do is send me over to Okta to authenticate, in theory. Come on, Indie login, you can do it. Or my, oh, you know what? My Heroku instance might have spun down. So if you're the free tier on Heroku, it'll spin down automatically if it's not in use, and then it'll spin up when it is in use. So that's why there was that delay there. For $7 a month, you can have it be always on. But anyway, now I'm at my Okta org. So this is the one that I created for this little demo here, dev. That's the one I was assigned. I can now authenticate to that org. And what that's going to do when I authenticate is it's going to respond now with a set of tokens. And then the integration that I wrote is going to respond back with the right response to Indie login. So that's cool. That was a big accomplishment. But here's the neat thing. Let me get rid of this. This is where my phone comes in. So one of the things that you get with this Okta org, you can create any number of users. You can set up MFA. And so I did this previously. I'm just going to make it active now. And so now this time, let me unlock my phone here. All right, now this time, when I go to Indie login, and I put in HTTPS fitnerd.com, same thing I did before. Now I'm going to log in again. So all I did was flip a switch over in the Okta configuration. Now this time when I log in, I have to provide that second factor, which I had previously configured. So I'm going to click on Send Push. If I wasn't in an incognito window, I could have it send it automatically. And now I get the push notification, which I can then click Approve, and then I continue on. And now I'm back to Indie login.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, my name is Flocky. I ask, you know when that happens to you, that somebody, that one fragment of a conversation, it just sticks into your mind and it just keeps bugging you. And this is exactly the reason why my website looks exactly how it looked like 2 months ago, except for this one. Like I created a web page, like this is just GitHub IO. Created a web page just so I can like RSVP for IndieWeb Summit. But yeah, so there was this conversation yesterday what we were having, and there was this fragment of a conversation where, hey, so what do we use? All these static generators, how do they send web mentions? And they're like, well, I'll just use webmention.io. And it's nice that we have Aaron, and they happen to be a nice person, not selling our data to the highest bidder. Hopefully, is it? But that's kind of got me to thinking, how can we? It's fine that we use like all these static generators. Could we do anything about this? Could we do? Obviously, one way that you can solve this is that just use Google spreadsheets as your backing data store. But I went a bit further, and we mentioned the Indie box yesterday, or like something like a box that's like an IndieWeb in a box, which is great. You can have a box at home and have that serve your indie websites. But first of all, you still need like a internet connection and an always-on box at home. But also that indie box will only serve you. And so I started thinking about how we as a community could like make that go away somehow. So when you have a static site generated, there are two things you need. One of the things that you need is like access to other domains, which the same origin policy prevents. So you need a server that can access to other domains and scrape other web pages. This is the baseline for webmention.io. But the other important thing is the data storage. And while you can have access to free web pages that provide you like there are Cloudflare workers or all kinds of like now that you can deploy free, or like Heroku, you can deploy applications onto. Storage is still a problem. Like how do you solve storage? So I started digging into Aaron's webmention.io, and I saw that he has like a MySQL database that he hosts for us. Nice. So when your webmention ping comes in, he just stores that into a database. Well, how could we figure out what we can do about this? And so what I ended up with is I started looking around for solutions that you want to keep your webmentions data private. You want to make sure that your webmention data or all the storage information stays private. So this also went back to the conversation: is how do you define control? So what I ended up with is I started looking at how can you store that state on the internet that is free, as in free beer, but also it is private. So I ended up with IPFS, which is a technology built in that and the protocol. And IPFS is basically, how cloud is somebody else's computer. So IPFS is like a peer-to-peer technology that lets you store data in the swarm. That kind of got me going. Like there's no solution here. Like really, like these are all complex technologies. But I can imagine a stack when you can use serverless functions like Cloudflare workers or now that could utilize some of this data and push that into IPFS. The interesting thing about IPFS is it's a content address data store. So you are the only person, as long as you are the only person who has the private key, your data can be stored at some other people's computers. They will not be able to access it or see it because it's all both encrypted and hidden from prying eyes because you are the only person who knows how to access it. So this is how we get back to the indie box. Is how about having our community host these things for each other. So when you have an indie box, you might be hosting your own website, but also you might be just keeping the indie box as like a peer in the swarm, also helping out other people in the indie community with free storage and free online interfaces. So this is just something to ponder, and if we talk during dinner or something, like I really like the Dot. I don't remember who was it who like publish their site to a to the .NET network. That's very much along these lines. So that was another thing that I started working on. We have been talking about Own Your Gram, and what if Own Your Gram was actually Telegram and not Instagram? So I started thinking about owning your Slack, owning your direct messaging history. So now I'm downloading, 5 years worth of scraping, 5 years worth of Telegram history, and have now set up my own Mattermost server, which is like a Slack alternative, an open source Slack alternative that I'm pulling a bunch of data into in a kind of IndieWeb spirit, but less, publicly, more kind of owning your history kind of thing, pulling your Telegram data or Slack data and putting that into your own Mattermost instance that you can search later, like hosted on your own server. So yeah, that's it.
Anybody else?
So I'm going to also present some of David Shansky's work.
Stand up.
You don't have to.
I'll just look behind you.
There you go. Okay, so is this going to show up? There we go.
Does that make sense?
This feels like a very intimidating way to give a presentation. Like if I present something wrong, then
When Gregor and Malcolm did it,
So my microsub server relies on the parse this library that David wrote. And one of the things it does is you can enter in a URL for a site, and it will try to find all the feeds on that site. And I'm going to show a quick comparison. So on the left-hand side, we have the old version of this. And I'm going to search for feeds on Tantec.com because it's a rather eccentrically organized when it comes to H feeds. And by which I mean it's quite difficult to it's a complicated case. So I've already started that. You can see that's going to take a while. I'll give a bit of a head start, and then I'm going to click search on the new version, and we will see we already have results. The other one's still searching. On the new version, we have 5 results, so it was able to find an events feed, a recent articles feed, an updates feed, or sorry, 4 results, and an Atom feed. And finally, the old one is caught up, and all it could find was just a plain Contact.com, which isn't even actually really the feed we want, and an Atom feed. So the new one is faster and finds more. So that's all David's work, so thank you.
on the fast one or the slow one?
So there we go, found a bunch. Oh, even on the slow one, pretty fast. Well done. And then the other things that I worked on was with David Bryant. I was testing out some web mentions from my site, and I realized I had this issue. Thank you, David Shansky. Yes. And I had this issue where I was posting my web mentions, and they were coming through to his site with this heading, testing web mentions by David Bryant, and then finally the content, which is not what I wanted. And this is happening because on my page, I of course had the reply context above my post, and that was coming through. So again, thanks to David Shansky's advice, I figured out how to edit my theme so that it would not do that. At the bottom here, one more web mention test, and it looks a lot more reasonable without the link at the beginning. So that's my work for the day.
Hi, I'm Mimet. My website's Nightlights.
didn't get as much done as I wanted to today, but just a quick demo to show. I was working on interoperability with some of with my indie site, with Mastodon, Friendica, New Social, Hubzilla, Pleroma, and each of them have their own unique challenges, which is fun. I started with Mastodon, and that was actually surprisingly pretty easy. I got like a like and a reply to work. And with that confidence, how it went forward to like do the other ones, and those worked terribly. Especially Nerdica, or Friendica, I should say. There's like the Nerdica instance here. What I found after like an hour and a half, 2 hours of like banging my head was that I had like in my host meta file, instead of like the single ampersand in a link, XML was parsing because it needs the like escaped version, ampersand, AMP, semicolon. And so, yeah, that was a bit of a waste of time. But yeah, now I can move forward from there. So anyway, just trying to get into interoperability working. So.
I will do a quick demo. My name is Aaron Parecki. My website is aaronpk.com. I, at the request of Clever Devil, made a very small but important change to Aperture. And you can now go and name your feeds. So you can go in here and say, okay, I don't actually want that to just be the domain name. I want to actually give it a name. Can't type on my own computer. And if the feed has a name, then it shows up with the name. Otherwise, it shows up with just the domain name. The other interesting thing here is that if I subscribe to like a granary URL for following Instagram or Twitter, it would have a bunch of parameters, including like my Twitter access token in the URL. And it was kind of breaking the screen where it would just be a huge spew mess over the whole screen, but that was the only place the URL was visible. So now that is also improved because I can go and look at like, no, that's not one. And this one, nope, just kidding. Instagram will have it. So it used to say, have the whole granary URL with the whole Instagram token and stuff. And now it just has just the domain name here. And you can click on it and see the long URL is now in here if you ever needed to reference it for some reason. So minor improvement, but that helped a lot. And that made Jonathan's demo possible. Other minor thing I did, in fact, pull off my small goal, which is to fix the way some of my posts look. So I'm going to live demo what that looks like, which is always a good idea to live demo. Hello from IndieWeb Summit Demos. If you look at this post on my website, it will have a colorful background. Pick a color in hex. F2, D9. And post. Hey, look at that. All right, the end. I don't need that one. I need the other one. Okay. Don't quit the browser this time. Hey, look at that. I did not quit my browser. Small victories. Okay. Let's try. Hey, I'm Tom Tikchuk. This is my website. And I did a bunch of, I thought I was going to be coding on my reply context display, making that better, as Mauricio pointed out. Doesn't show very much. But I ended up sort of walking down a rabbit hole there
and figuring out that I actually needed to rethink the UX. So what Marty was referring to is whenever I reply to stuff on my site, it shows a very minimal reply context. So for example, here's a reply to a tweet, and it says, yes, it's in reply to, and this used to just have a URL, but something I did at a couple of IndieWeb camps ago was put in some URL inspection code that just looks at the format of the URL, what domain is it, et cetera, and says, oh, I know what that URL is. That URL is a tweet. And that URL is a tweet from Trevor F. Smith. So instead of saying twitter.com/blah, blah, 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 all that stuff, it says Trevor's tweet. A little bit more human readable and friendly, but still there's no icon of Trevor, and you have no idea what he said that I'm replying to. So pretty minimal context there. So I kind of kept going down that path, and it can tell, oh, you're replying to an issue on GitHub, right? This is entirely algorithmically determined from the URL. So it constructs an English readable string. That's actually all open source on GitHub to take a URL, and if you can figure out a string, tell you that. Let's see. Here you go. When I thumb up an issue, it shows up as a React G like that. And again, that's constructing it that way. Here's a good example, reply context to an RSVP. And it doesn't know that that's an event on Greg's site. It just knows, oh, that's a post on gregorloves.com site, rather than showing the full permalink, which doesn't really mean much to most users. Ideally, it would say it's an event, but it doesn't know enough to do that. So my plan was to use X-Ray, which is a utility that Aaron wrote, to go ahead and pull that information out at post time and preview it as what Marty was demonstrating before I post to make sure, hey, I'm replying to the thing I think I'm replying to. And then I started to walk down the question of like, well, where should I store that information? Should I store it with the rest of my posts? Should I store it in a little side file? And Marty was like, you should store it in a side file because it's not content that's yours, it's someone else's content. And then I started to realize, well, but what if I want to edit that content? And that's where we figured out that there's actually, and just to show you examples of better reply contexts, this is a post from Aaron. He's showing the entire post that he's replying to, post from Barnaby, showing like you expect in other places, Twitter, et cetera. This is what mine used to look like in reply to URL. There we go, example. But I realized that there's errors possible with reply context for pretty much every single aspect of it, and I decided to document that. This is to be added to the wiki, but you get a reply context back. It's possible that someone's name is either incorrect or it's some expression of where they happen to be or going to travel, or perhaps it's their domain name, like Jackie's. His name is going to PDX. And you might want to edit that to say, oh, I'm just replying to Jackie. Similarly, Greg's name on Twitter is his URL. And I might want to edit that to just say, oh, it's Greg. Summary, if you're replying to a big, long post, you might want to truncate that, and then you might want to edit it by hand to say, this is what I'm replying to, but only a little bit of that. If you've looked at anyone's reply context, maybe sometimes you'll see the published date of 1969. Who has ever seen that?
Has seen that?
Yeah. So that's an error by which whatever you're doing date parsing is determining the date to be 0, which in Pacific time zone epoch start is in 1969. So if you see 1969, that's what's going on. It's thinking that. So, or the published date might be something in the future or wrong time zone. Again, these are good reasons why you want to edit that. The author name, we talked about that one. The author icon, you might want to, they might be using like a color like Jackie's using right now. You might want to like use their previous icon or maybe an icon from their website and change that as well. So those are all the reasons. And that post is the result. In addition, though, I just kept walking down the path of like, if I had the ideal reply context UI and I pasted in like a Twitter URL to reply to, like Jackie's URL, what I really want is X-Ray to show me the original post URL in addition to the other things. So I went and filed a GitHub issue. Actually gave Aaron an algorithm and provided test cases that should provide the accurate results. If run through that algorithm, and provide a negative test case as well that won't work. based on this conservative algorithm. So I'm hoping that's enough for me to Tom Sawyer Aaron into improving X-ray, which then I can use next time. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of this is more documented on the wiki. Original post link and then original post discovery is a big long algorithm. The version I put in the issue is much shorter. There we go. So, and it's also based on prior art that's in Bridgie. Yeah, that's it. So lots of design work. And making more work for Aaron.
We have a few more minutes left for demos. Anybody else?
I didn't even work on my request today, so I didn't have any requests to you. Yep.
Is it normal size this time?
Is that working? Almost magic.
Did something happen? Okay. So mine's not super exciting, but well,
Website is the cutest thing.
I haven't changed anything on it.
We did it yesterday under cute websites, by the way.
But what I was doing was, so previously I've worked as a prototyper, which means that my code's not supposed to live for more than maybe like 2 weeks at a time. So everyone was like, no, don't do testing. No, don't use linters. No tools. Like just throw it up there and be done. And then I've gotten in trouble recently because now I don't know how to use those tools because I've never had to. So I'm copying all of my stuff into a new repo where I can actually like test it and building the code more correctly. So I have a lot of it out in Storybook now where I'm kind of like doing a design system based off of it so that I actually have one that I can show people because I'm not allowed to show the one I built at Nike. But it just like has all my different pieces on it. This is my favorite one. It just makes multicolor words. Yeah.
Were the books on your homepage like the books you're currently reading?
Yes. So the books on the bottom, there's 3 books there, and they change the title and the author based on whatever my current or most recently finished. Depends on what it is. So if you click on them, it goes to a list that logs all of them. The whole, I guess, the whole front page, all of
I have an old
those,
laptop, so I
illustrations,
guess.
they're basically all Easter eggs. Some of them work, some of don't. I finally ordered some of my duck stickers that are on the laptop when they load in. So if you go there, once I actually get them, it's gonna say, have a form. It's gonna be like, send me your address and I will mail you a duck sticker.
The fish is not an Easter egg though, right?
Not, well, it's almost done.
Okay.
You're
It
gonna
will be.
because we're clicking on it.
You're
You're
not-
gonna feed the
It's in the
fish,
lab.
and then the fish will, instead of just going back and forth, is going to the food place that drop in, which is working. I just
You're like a
put it on the
whole
site
other
now.
level of Easter eggs.
Clicking on the books takes you to a list of all my recently read books.
Is that working?
Did you grab the one that's pencil tab?
Right. There you go.
Set in yet, but
All
what
right.
it's gonna do is the pencils are gonna change to different tools. So switch from pencils to like paintbrushes. And if you do it again, it'll switch to like a doer, just like that.
So much
Awesome.
smoother than most of us.
So, hi everybody. Should I go? Or I don't know. All right. So this weekend, most of the time I spent, my name and domain. My name is Andy Galpern and my domain is andygalpern.com. Wow. All right. So this weekend I spent most of my time just working with a lot of you guys and helping you get clear on your ideas. I was more of a mentor and taking photos and kind of helping out with that kind of stuff. But I also worked on my own writing an article about accessibility and doing research for that. And also I launched a page on my personal site for blogs.
and try and create ongoing content on my personal site. So this is just photos right here, but also you guys can see on the IndieWeb Camp site right now, there are photos of all of you. And if you don't like your photo, you can go ahead and take it down, or if you can help us out by adding in the alt tag descriptions. I added in some of them, but I would like to make sure that it's, you know, it's covered along the way. And that's it. So, yeah.
I guess that's everybody. Last call for demos. All right. Congratulations. So thanks everybody for coming. A few closing remarks, but we don't have much left of the day. Unless I'm forgetting something, Tontek. Yes, that's what the DM was about.
So I think we have some sponsors to thank, don't we?
Yes, we do. Huge thank you to our sponsors, Mozilla for the space and for the food, and Okta and Name.com for sponsoring as well. And also thanks to all of you for contributing via registration and to the Travel Assistance Fund, which allowed us to bring more people here. So huge round of thanks to everybody involved.
And I think we had a record number of participants this weekend.
Yep, we broke a lot of records this time.
By the sign-up sheet count, we had 51 yesterday, which we only sold 60 tickets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who can do some quick math on percent? What is that?
Alexa, what's 51 divided by 60? Oh, she's not here. Yeah, but seriously, that's fantastic. 85%.
So
that is significantly higher than.
By the way, my events get like a 25% drop-off rate, but usually like out of 300.
Yep.
But, however, that's really good. That is the lowest ever.
Yep, and in previous years, we've had sometimes only 60% of the people show up. So this is a huge
50%.
Or 50%.
So this time we got 85%, and we're going to be doing some post-event analysis to, I mean, we tried lots of different things. Like we tweaked a bunch of variables. Mostly, I think we planned more things in advance, which help people schedule better.
So if you have,
yes.
Oh yes, we almost forgot. But yeah, if you have any feedback on that process of did we plan too soon, did we plan not soon enough, please share. But yes, that leads into. Is this the right link?
I don't know. Try 2020. I still can't type that number.
Nope, that's the wrong. Actually, this is a great. 2010. There was no IndieWeb Camp in 2010. The first was in 2011. Also, math is fun because 2020 will be the 10th, even though we didn't have one in 2010 because of off by one math, which is awesome. But yes, 2020. We have now chosen the date for IndieWeb Camp, IndieWeb Summit 2020.
And where is the date?
Not on this page.
It is not
very
on the page.
likely. But if you click that Planning Summit link, what happens?
If you click Planning Summit,
there you go.
There we go. June 27th and 28th, right here, back in Mozilla, Portland.
So save the date. Put
Save
that
the
in your
date.
calendar. It's a thing. It's going to happen again. We'll almost certainly have a bunch of pre-summit events to the whole week following up, just like we did this time. Because our friends at donut.js have a predictable schedule, et cetera. There'll probably be a Homebrew Website Club that Wednesday and other things, right?
And yeah, if you want to plan an event around that date, now you know the date, so you can do that.
Around here.
Around here, around that
Please
date.
don't plan conflicting events.
We have intentionally not opened up registrations yet. We will be announcing registrations soon. And channels for looking for those, which is our discussion channels, our chat, our IRC Slack. Follow us on Twitter, go to the website, go to the events page, bookmark this link, IndieWeb.org/2020. All of those things will be updated when we announce registrations.
Yep. What's going on tonight?
What is going on tonight?
Oh, before we leave, one of the really nice things would be is if people can look around, not right now, when we're done, and just pick up any little pieces of trash or recycling, help put chairs roughly kind of in order where they are, because we've configured the tables and everything back to their sort of default configuration. And in general, just kind of clean up a little bit. I think not to worry about any of the remaining food or food items. Those our staff will clean up for us. But if there's any food you want to take with you, I think you're welcome to do so. Sorry, any food from like, the food that we got for lunch or breakfast, not like the cabinets or anything. Okay, you know what I mean. But yeah, we're really grateful that we've been able to use this space. This is, I think, the second or third time, maybe. I can't remember. And we keep leaving it in, at least as good or better condition than we found it. And I think that they will keep appreciating that and letting us do that here. So, any questions about that?
Oh, yes, thank you. If you don't want to keep your lanyard, it's totally fine if you do. If you don't want to keep it, go ahead and drop your lanyard. You can keep the name tag if you want. Drop the lanyards and the pins back on the table there. You are also welcome to keep them, but if you don't have any use for them, we will reuse them again. So
before you Marie Kondo them into the garbage, you can Marie Kondo them right back into our hands, and we can reuse them.
Exactly.
And be a little bit more environmentally sustainable.
Thanks to the organizers.
Also,
I know who we forgot to thank. The volunteers.
Thanks to our volunteers. We had a lot of help.
Thanks.
So thanks to all of you. So after party, where are we going next?
Do you want the details?
It's on the
screen.
wiki. Look at that. 2019 pound after parties.
7:15. We have a reservation at Voicebox Northwest. It is about 10 blocks-ish from here, less than half a mile. It's a
wow.
It is not far from here and on this side of the river. Private room karaoke, which means we get the entire booth and there are no randos at a bar. It's a great place. There is food and drink available there. It is 21 and over only. So if you are under 21, unfortunately, you won't be able to join us.
What's the cover?
The cover is $0. The cover is provided thanks to our sponsors, and but food and drink is on your own. So you have to pay by singing a song. That is not a requirement. You can come even if you don't want to sing. You do have to listen to other people sing if you come. That is the rule.
Northwest. So it's Voicebox Karaoke Northwest.
Voicebox Karaoke Northwest.
Don't go to the east side one.
Stay on the side of the river. If you're going there and you cross the river, you've gone the wrong way.
By the way, extra points if you parodize the song with IndieWeb themed words.
Extra points for parodying the song with IndieWeb themed words. That has definitely happened before.
That's definitely happened. And if karaoke is not your thing, that's totally cool. It was certainly not my thing for a very long time until I got dragged into it. And you want to organize like your own dinner or your own outing, go for it. If you already have an idea about what you're trying to organize, you're welcome to announce it, to tell people what's going on. You're also invited to add it to the wiki, either or, whatever is your preference. So this is an awesome community of people with their own initiative. Obviously, you all have your own websites doing cool stuff your own way. So in that spirit, IndieWebify your evening, as it were. Yeah, own your plans. Yeah,
own your plans. Okay. All right. I think that's everybody. So thank you all. Thank you all.
All right. And let's clean up, close out, and we'll see you. Oh, one more announcement.
Beautiful.
Wow.
I already have the black guy. I don't want to.
I don't give a talk about that.
Good job. We announced the date.
We announced the date.
We announced the date. It is the thing. Okay. We have thrown down.
If people didn't get t-shirts.
Oh yeah.
Did everyone get a t-shirt?
If you didn't get a t-shirt and you want a t-shirt, they are free. Come see me.
Let me know when you're out of the
IDPI stuff. Yeah, you want to hang around and help us